The Trump administration just appealed a ruling from a Trump-appointed federal judge that threw out an aggressive Justice Department lawsuit. That lawsuit had tried to sue all 15 federal trial judges in the state of Maryland. Now, the underpinning of that case, Maryland courts temporarily blocking the Trump administration from quickly deporting undocumented immigrants if they challenged their removals. Now, that ruling was on full display in the case of Kilmar Abrego Garcia this week. That's the undocumented immigrant who lived in Maryland, who is now in ICE custody as he challenges his deportation, threatened to go to Uganda. It's a country where he has absolutely zero ties. Joining us now, CNN crime and justice correspondent Katelyn Polantz and CNN senior legal analyst Elie Honig. And Katelyn, let me start with you. This judge laid out some rather fiery statements in this rebuke of the Trump administration's unusual lawsuit. And just to remind people, this is a Trump-appointed judge.
Two-time Trump appointee, Thomas Cullen, a conservative royalty in the state of Virginia, brought into this special case overseeing it in Maryland. And his opinion today was, get this out of this court, full dismissal. It doesn't belong here. And he wasn't going to let it go forward resoundingly. He writes, none of these cases that the Justice Department was arguing in this case support the executive's theory that it can sue federal judges simply because it disagrees with how they carry out their constitutional and statutory duties. To hold otherwise would run counter to overwhelming precedent, depart from longstanding constitutional tradition, and offend the rule of law. That's a pretty strong statement from Judge Cullen in this. Backing up what this was about is that it's not a normal case. This was in Maryland, where the chief judge of that district just earlier in the Trump administration said, there are a lot of detainees in immigration proceedings coming to us with emergency requests to not have them deported so that we would be able to look at those cases. And the chief judge said, okay, we're going to pump the brakes for 2 days and just put a hold on the U.S. sending any of those people out of the country to a place like potentially Uganda or another country. The Justice Department, instead of appealing that, they sued the whole lot of judges in Maryland, all 15 judges on the federal district bench. Cullen, he's at the same level. And so he's saying, I don't have the ability to stop these other judges that I'm colleagues with, also trial level district court judges. And then also he says, this is not what the country is about with 3 branches of government. We should not just be fighting against each other, the justice system versus the chief executive. Another thing he writes, regrettably, this lawsuit effectively pits 2 of the branches against one another. One branch's alleged infringement on another's exclusive power does not license a constitutional free-for-all. He did note that the Justice Department, if they have a problem with this order from the judges in Maryland, they can appeal.
They can appeal. Elie Honig, could a different judge have seen this differently?
Jake, I legitimately do not think a single federal judge in this country would see this differently. And by the way, the appeal that was just filed, they're going to lose. Like, I try to not do predictions. The Trump administration will absolutely lose that appeal. You know, the expression that we're all focusing on is constitutional free-for-all. I actually don't even think that's quite right, because a free-for-all suggests something haphazard. It's more like a constitutional mockery, what happened here. When the district court judges in Maryland made this ruling that Trump did not like, what he should have done is appeal. Instead, what he did is essentially say to the judges, you should shut yourselves down. And the basis that this judge dismissed Trump's lawsuit on is 2 things. He said, you don't have standing and you don't have cause of action. That translates to you have no business in this court, and the thing you're asking us to do is not even a thing that exists in the law.
And Elie, obviously the case of Kilmar Abrego Garcia has been getting most of the attention. You write of the unraveling of the prosecution against him. You say, quote, seemingly in recognition of the its criminal case, the Justice Department has already begun to construct an off-ramp for itself. They've now laid the groundwork for a full-scale retreat, unquote. So what does that mean? Where does this go next?
So I wrote that in June, a few months ago, and now it's happening. So there's 2 different things happening with respect to Kilmar Abrego Garcia at once. There's the effort to deport him, which is in immigration courts, and then there's the indictment, the criminal prosecution in, of course, the federal criminal courts. What happened, though, is the federal criminal judge gave him bail because the defense team went in there and basically peeled the bark off the case, showed that the allegations are based on third and fourth hand hearsay. And so the judge said, I find you have a weak case. I'm releasing him. But what's happening now is immigration authorities have now arrested Kilmar Abrego Garcia, and they're trying to get him out of here because they don't want to try this case, because they know they put out this big splashy indictment. The attorney general made a big announcement about it. They know they don't have the goods. They desperately are trying to get him out of here so they don't ever have to go into court and back up the indictment that they brought.
But aren't they just overshooting this? I mean, now they're trying to send him to Uganda. Couldn't they just deport him to Costa Rica tomorrow?
100%. In fact, that's what Kilmar Abrego Garcia's team is saying. They're saying they've worked it out with Costa Rica. He can be sent there. He can be deported there. And that's what he wants. They're asking, and the administration is still saying, no, we want to send him halfway around the world to Uganda, a place where he has zero connections and where I think his team is going to argue he faces risk of being persecuted. They're going to fight that.
All right. Ali Honig, Caitlin Polantz, thanks so much. Appreciate both of you.